Ten bowl projections have just been released by the Action Network and Brett McMurphy. Please put down your comments and thoughts in the comments section below the video. Let us know how they got it all wrong or how they got it all right, because I'm going to let you know my feelings on these Week 10 projections. Yes, this is episode 320 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football, and that includes bowl projections. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. Bowl projections, Week 10 coming up. The Action Network, Brett McMurphy, hometown leaders, Bahama Bowl, Central Michigan, and Western Kentucky. In the Cure Bowl, Georgia Southern versus Toledo. In the New Orleans Bowl, Liberty versus Troy. In the LA Bowl, the Los Angeles Bowl, UCLA and Boise State. In the New Mexico Bowl, Wyoming and New Mexico State. Jerry Kill has got New Mexico State in a bowl game once again. They're already bowl eligible. They've already won 6 games back-to-back years. Holy smokes, what a job Jerry Kill's doing. Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus Ohio Bobcats. In the Independence Bowl, BYU, Washington State. That'll be a good one in Shreveport, Louisiana. In the Boca Raton Bowl, Memphis versus James Madison. Now, James Madison, is not eligible to get into a bowl game this year unless there's not enough teams, 6-6 qualifying teams, to fill up all the bowl slots. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. That's why Brett McMurphy, once again, Action Network, has James Madison slotted into a bowl game. Rice versus Texas State. Rice is having a very interesting, pretty good year down there in Texas. That would be an all-Texas school in the Frisco Bowl, Frisco, Texas. Mississippi State versus Maryland in the Birmingham Bowl. Now Action Network, Brett McMurphy, has Maryland slotted out of the bowl tie-in, Big Ten bowl tie-ins, because Maryland has lost 2 games in a row. They were not expected to lose. They slip all the way down to the Birmingham Bowl and the Gasparilla Bowl. Auburn versus South Florida in the Armed Forces Bowl. West Virginia Mountaineers versus the Northwestern Wildcats. Holy smokes. Northwestern's getting to a bowl game this year. They just got another win. It looks like it might happen. And West Virginia, Neil Brown has saved his job as West Virginia has already compiled 5 wins. Here comes the Mountaineers, the Camilla Bowl. Marshall versus Bowling Green in Montgomery, Alabama. In the Ventures Bowl, Louisiana, Jacksonville State, and Mobile, Alabama. Colorado State versus Northern Illinois in the Idaho Potato Bowl. In the Hawaii Bowl, Fresno State versus SMU. SMU has a shot to get in to the AAC championship game. In the Las Vegas Bowl, Arizona versus Iowa. Wow. Arizona, man. They have turned the corner. They're playing competitive football this year. And the Iowa Hawkeyes, even though they've slipped some, they're still going to the Las Vegas Bowl, according to Brett McMurphy and the Action Network. First Responder Bowl, UTSA versus Georgia State. UTSA still undefeated in the AAC in the first year in the AAC. Quick Lane Bowl, Minnesota versus Miami, Ohio. Minnesota has come back to life, but we're still slotted way down there in the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, Michigan. In the Military Bowl, Georgia Tech versus Navy. Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Iowa State Cyclones versus the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Matt Rule is 1 win away from getting the Cornhuskers to a bowl game. The first bowl game, 6-7 years? Good job by Matt Rule. In the Holiday Bowl, the Duke Blue Devils versus the Utah Utes and the Dukes. Mayo Bowl, Missouri versus Virginia Tech. In the Fenway Bowl, Tulane, Syracuse. It looks like Tulane, according to Brett McMurphy Action Network, they're on the outside looking in to be the G5 representative in the New Year's Bowl. I think we all know who Brett McMurphy's got there in the New Year's Bowl for a G5 representative, still undefeated. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Tax Act Texas Bowl, Texas A&M versus Kansas. Kansas will not be denied again this year. Another great year by Lance Leopold. Pop-Tarts Bowl, Orlando, Florida, North Carolina State versus Kansas State. In the Pinstripe Bowl, Boston College versus Rutgers. Rutgers with 6 wins. They have some opportunities in the last 4 games of the year to get that 7th win and maybe even that 8th win. In the Gator Bowl, Tennessee versus Miami of Florida. Miami of Florida wins an overtime thriller last week. Alamo Bowl, Oklahoma versus USC. Wow, Oklahoma versus USC. San Antonio, Texas would love to have that game. In the Liberty Bowl, Kentucky versus TCU. In the Tiger Sun Bowl, Clemson versus Oregon State in El Paso, Texas. In the Arizona Bowl, UNLV versus Eastern Michigan. In the Music City Bowl, Tennessee, the Florida Gators versus the Wisconsin Badgers. You mean to tell me that Graham Mertz will be the quarterback against his former team, the Wisconsin Badgers? That would be the Mertz Bowl? That'd be pretty interesting. But Wisconsin's going to have to beat Minnesota in Huntington Bank Stadium in the last game of the season to get this slot. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens. In the Citrus Bowl, Ole Miss versus Penn State. In the ReliaQuest Bowl, UNC versus LSU. In the Orange Bowl, Ohio State versus Louisville. In the Cotton Bowl, Oklahoma State versus Oregon. In the Fiesta Bowl, Washington Huskies. So Brett McMurphy still doesn't have Washington in the playoffs against the undefeated Air Force, the Mountain West champions. According to these projections, Air Force going to be the G5 representative into the New Year's Bowl. Undefeated Air Force. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Alabama versus Notre Dame in Atlanta, Georgia. Woo! Now, here we go. The college football playoff semifinal projections. Brett McMurphy Action Network going in to week 10. Michigan, Florida State, Georgia, Texas. The Texas Longhorns are now projected to go to the college football playoff semifinals. That I do not agree with there in with these projections. I don't think Texas is even going to get out of the Big 12 without another loss. That's where I disagree. Now, I cannot have my Penn State anymore in there. They lost. They're struggling. So, to me, it has to be Washington, Michigan, Florida State, and then the other spot is wide open. So, Texas is Action Network's wide open spot to get in there, but I would go with somebody else other than Texas. Put down your comments and thoughts in the comments section below the video. I would put in Michigan and the Buckeyes. That duo, with one of them having one loss over a one-loss Texas team. It's going to be a two-loss Texas team. But that is wide open, no question about it. The 3 perennial favorites are Georgia, Florida State, and Michigan. I have Washington in there as well. I would have Washington in there as well. But put down your comments and let me know what you're thinking. This is projections, bold projections going into week 10. Now, this is going to be a very busy week here in college football. It's early Monday morning. I think a lot of storylines are going to be popping. We have that Michigan thing going on. We have Oregon State, Washington State, Pac-2 versus Pac-10 going on. We got the Holy Smokes Theater going on with the ACC drama. Wow, lots of stuff. And then we have the Week 10 football games. Conference races are heating up. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner as we cover it all. Until next time. From us, from everybody at PATC, to all of you, please, until next time, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.